Hi, I'm Nina Deeb,
And I'm Mark Carvello.
and today's podcast is about flooding and water safety.
The Nina and Mark Show. We will keep you in the know. Current events and special guests. Our podcast is the best. You don't want to miss the Nina and Mark Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Today's topic on our podcast is water safety and flooding here in our region. And we're just going to start off with some facts for those people who were in Cambridge back in the day. It has been almost, 51 years. We had our major Cambridge flood. That was back in May 17th of 1974, if you can believe it. Some information about that. The water level rose over 5 meters. It caused $34 million worth of damage here in Cambridge. The region of Waterloo had to chlorinate the water and test it daily. Cambridge was under a boil water advisory, and the Grand River swelled to the farmers market parking lot downtown Galt. So a lot going on back in May of 1974. What else was going on there, Nina, with this flooding?
Well, the flooding is caused by temperatures rising, snow thawing, and the rainfall. And we've had all these things going on the last few days. So the snow all thaws and all goes into the arteries all at the same time. So we have the arteries swelling because there's nowhere else for it to go. It's where it's meant to go, actually. Riverside Park flooded yesterday, and the dam there is 140 years old. So the Speed River has expanded. This morning I went by there. It's to the outfield of that ballpark.
Well, we also have some closures, I guess. Blackbirch Road is closed. Several trails are closed. The GRCA issued a flood watch here in Cambridge for the Conestoga, New Hamburger, and Ayr area. So a lot going on this spring. And as you mentioned, like just a couple days ago, that weather was bananas. We had, 10 centimeters of snow all at once. It was cold, and then all of a sudden it was warm, and thunder and lightning overnight. Lots of rain. So I'm glad everybody's tuned into our show here, and we've got some information to share with you.
Well, Cambridge, we have two rivers really that run through it. We have the Speed Rivers. That's if you're on Hespeler, that's a Speed River that you've got. In Preston, Preston has a Speed River. That's what's going through Riverside Park, and then it meets with the Grand around where Preston High School is there, and then it becomes called the Grand. And the Speed River is very fast. It's probably the reason it has the name, the Speed River. It's a pretty fast river. The Grand is much larger, and but the source of the Grand is near Dundalk, and it empties into Lake Erie. You want to stay back from the water's edge when it's this active. It's very active right now. The river is working overtime, so you want to refrain from any water sports. The river is high and it's moving too fast. So this morning, I was mentioning that on my way to the office, I came down Speedsville Road. There are two spots very close to each other, two bridges where the Speed forks. It forks right by Riverside Park, the back entrance of Riverside Park. It forks, and there are two bridges that go over the river. One of the bridges you won't clear if you're in a canoe or in a kayak. You're not going to clear it. You're going to hit that bridge, and the river moves so fast that you won't have the opportunity to choose which bridge to go to. So one of them you're barely clearing, and one of them you won't clear. So just stay off the water. This isn't the time for water sports. Stay back. We don't need to be putting ourselves in danger. So please stay back.
Well, there's always going to be those people who are risk takers. They want to get onto the water while it's raging, and almost like that white water rafting experience or whatever it is. But yeah, definitely not a good idea. And let's do some other activities that are safe at this point. And certainly in the next few weeks, we're going to see some great weather and better opportunity to be near the rivers and doing your activities. So yeah. as far as safety, what's going on? What other things can we do, Nina, to make sure that we are not in a
Well,
predicament in the water?
if somebody wants that white river, like that white raft river experience, you want to be doing that on the Nith River, which also empties into the Grand. So the Nith River, it's shorter, and it's only about a meter. Usually, it's about a meter deep when you can do your whitewater rafting, and it's if you are into water sports, that's the river you want to be doing that in. So it's ideal for that. And there's a certain time of year that you do your whitewater rafting, when you have the right circumstances. When the water is calm, you want to wear a life jacket.
Hmm.
I'm a very strong swimmer, and I spilled my kayak last year,
Yeah.
and I had my life jacket on, and when I wound up with a scraped head, scraped shoulder, scraped, my legs were scraped, so I wound up spilling because there were rocks that I didn't know were there. There were rocks there, and I wound up spilling, and even though I am a strong swimmer, I lost my glasses. I was scraped up really good, and I didn't realize it until I was getting back up, and you think you're okay. But at the time, you're thinking, well, it's a good thing I had that life jacket on. I mean, I wasn't unconscious, but it could happen so fast. So wear your life jacket. Don't be arrogant of, I'm a strong swimmer. I don't need it. You don't need it till you need it. Just put it on. It's there. You want to supervise children, and don't drink. You can drink later. Don't drink on the water, ideally. Just don't drink. Just be alert and be safe.
Well, for me, it's not going to be me taking a swim in that water. It's it's a little murky, it's a little stinky, and it's not me doing that. So I can't even imagine what's in the water as it is. But certainly, as you mentioned, there is under the surface, you don't know what's going on. There's all kinds of lumber that could be in there, or sometimes you have a walk down by the river and you see that people are throwing things in there as well, like tires or you might see an odd shopping cart or something like that. So best to be on the safe side. And of course, there's always other types of laws that are in place to ensure some safety with the water side here. And small vessels are required by law to have a personal flotation device, as you mentioned, a jacket. It's also good to bring 15 meters of rope or line, uh, a paddle device for sure, a water bailing device. You don't want to be capsizing in your boat or canoe or wherever you're on without having a way to bail yourself out, the water out, sorry. And a watertight flashlight, something visual and something that we don't associate. Normally, we think that we're going to be involved in this water activity during the day. So you never know what could happen. You could be stranded out somewhere and need a flashlight. And of course, there's some other pool ideas as well, Nina, that you probably want to elaborate on.
I was looking at the notes here. So those are the six things that are required that you must have by law on small vessels in Ontario. There's six things, and I think so. Going over those again. So you got the 15 meters of rope, the whistle, paddle device, bailing device, and a water visual, and your flotation device. So a life jacket. Those are six things that you must have. So that's not would be nice to have. You have to have those things on small vessels in Ontario for safety.
And
And
pools as well. There's so much to be said about not just water safety around the rivers, but obviously pool safety needs to be considered too. And there's some good information Nina's about to give you right here.
So, like the pool's a little bit different when you're in the pool safety versus your water edge safety. Like you're gonna have like the life jackets are more common on your open waters, your rivers, your lakes. They're handy in the pool as well, but quite often in the pool you have different flotation devices, water wings maybe. Water rings are okay. They're really not that reliable. They're pretty small.
Mhm.
So, you always want to be supervising children. As far as pool safety goes, one of the best things you can do is learn to swim. If you learn to swim, you're to be able to tread water, to keep your head above water, to have some endurance for be able to do it several laps. That'd be great. And you can learn to swim. You can probably learn to swim in a few days if somebody puts their mind to it. It's a matter of holding your breath, learning to do like a doggy paddle at least. It doesn't take very
Mhm.
long. You want to take a first aid course that teaches rest breathing, CPR, and self
Mhm.
rescue and the rescue of others. Because in the water, you're pretty weightless. And when somebody is struggling in the water, they're very powerful. The adrenaline's going. So someone very small can drown someone that comes in to save them if you're not properly equipped and if you don't know what you're swimming into. You don't ever want to approach a struggling swimmer from the front. They're going to grab you, they're going to push you down. So what you want to do is you want to know how to do self-rescue and the rescue of others. So Mark, what would you do if someone is struggling in the water? If you see somebody struggling in the water, what should somebody do?
Probably not run away flailing your arms and screaming. You probably wanna be trying your best to help somebody at that point, but yeah, when someone's struggling in the water, you have to you can assist them, obviously, by using a reaching pole or have them grab or pull onto something, throw throw a ring, a buoy, a flotation device near the swimmer and pull them in once they grab it. If you must approach in the water, you probably want to use a flotation device approach from behind. And, sometimes a pool noodle alone isn't going to cut it. So it's good to kind of have safety in mind when you're around the pool and just, enjoy yourself and enjoy your swimming but be aware, be cognitive of what's going on. And, if it turns into an unsafe situation, you'll be better prepared to deal with it.
And we have four pools in Cambridge. We used to have five. Actually, we used to have six, but we have four pools in Cambridge. So we have John Dolson, we have WG Johnson, that's the indoor pool in Hespeler, George Hancock, and there's a new indoor pool being built at the sport complex. And there's Ed Newland Pool in Preston that has a 1.3 million dollar makeover. So there's a Swim to Survive program from grades 3 to 7 for students to be taught basic swimming fundamentals. This is optional, so the teachers actually have to have an interest in the program and sign their classes up for this. So it's something that it's not mandatory. It should be mandatory. Mark, so Ed Newland's pool. I stole water safety from Ed Newland's pool. My cousin and
Uh,
I, do you know the catwalk? There's actually a catwalk between William Street and Margaret Street, and there's a fence at that pool. And when you walk through there, I remember we were in grade 4 and we were walking through there and we saw swimming lessons going on. And it's an outside pool, so you could just stand there and listen. We stood there and we listened to swimming lessons day after day and CPR, how to
right.
do CPR and and what not to do and what to do. And so my cousin Janet and I, we joke around about this. We didn't have like swim passes or anything yet. We'd never even been into that pool at Eddie's when we stole water safety from them. But we joke around about that and say, we stole water safety from Eddie's, right? Um, so that's how we learned CPR, and that's how we learned water safety. But we were in grade 4, and that very summer, after we had learned about water safety and what to do and not do, we had a family picnic at Riverside Park, and we went to the pool there. And the pool there, they had lifeguards. It's a skate park now.
Yeah.
But we went there, so there was myself and my cousin and my sister, and it was went down the water slides, and I got hit in the head right after I went down that water slide. My cousin went down. I went down that water slide, and I had just barely come up for air from going, it's maybe about 7 feet deep. I came up for air and I got hit in the head by something. And it was a 5-year-old. It was my 5-year-old sister. So she had, who didn't know how to swim. So she had left the shallow end, saw us having a good time in the deep end, but we could tread water. Like we could tread water and swim underwater. We were like self-taught, my cousin and I. And when that happened, all of a sudden you're just thinking, oh boy, here it is. Like, she's smaller than me, but she came down that slide and she couldn't stay afloat. So what's she doing? She's climbing me, she's pushing me down, and she's drowning me. So my cousin, because she was close enough, she saw what was happening. She swam to the edge of the pool and she went for help. She went for lifeguards. She knew not to touch us. We were both drowning. She knew
Yeah.
not to touch us. She said, like, for her, because I mean, her and I had still water safety together. She knew that that was dangerous to come near us, that we were going to take her down as well. So she went to the edge of the pool and she got out of the pool and she went for the lifeguards. And I wound up going under the water. I grabbed a big gulp of air. I wound up going under the water, and I thought this is it. Like, we're gonna be dead. I grabbed her underwater, and I dragged her. So I didn't do things the way you were supposed to, because you're supposed to grab someone and try and swim one arm and from behind. That's the way you're supposed to do it. I wound up grabbing her underwater. I pulled her under, so she was taking water. I was okay. I was holding my breath at that point. I dragged her under. And I dragged her to the end where I could stand. And the lifeguards were waiting for us. Like, they actually, so by the time my cousin got there, by the time we got there and she was coming out, like, they were pulling her out. And they were aware, they were very quick. But that's how fast it can happen. Like, that's how fast it can happen. And you think about it, like, if my cousin had known not to touch us and to go for help, like, rather than, we could have been all three of us standing there drowning. So the life you save can be your own. So there you are, grade 4, a couple of kids in grade 4, and we stole water safety and we saved our own lives with it. My cousin saved her life by not touching us. I saved my own life by knowing what I recognizing that I was drowning, that she was drowning, and recognizing that something pretty serious had to happen. Like, you probably, like, your adrenaline to think, drag her down. And I did. I dragged her down and I dragged her to where I could stand, because I couldn't stand there.
Well, I think that's the thing. When you're in a situation and this is happening so quickly and you're in panic mode and you don't have the tools and the safety type of background or education that you need, that critical moment that's maybe only a few minutes is going to make the difference for everybody, whether they're surviving. And you're just, people don't like to think like that. Oh, we're just in a pool and there's lifeguards around, or everything is as safe as can be. But you might have those situations that are just unexpected, and you have to kind of have that education to rely on. And I think I see here in our notes that even water safety knowledge and stuff like that should be mandatory. I know that when I was in grade school, it was part of a program through our school at W.G. Johnson. So that's where I learned how to swim. And the thing is, when you're a child, that's a lot of fear around swimming and drowning, and wherever that comes from. Even for me, and I'm on an unrelated topic, when I was a youth, Jaws came out, and then you have these unrealistic fears about being in the water or whatever it is. Even if it's in a pool and you're a kid with an imagination, you're going to find yourself with a little bit of fear of water, even though it's unrealistic. So I'm grateful to be having that education. My parents were not swimmers themselves. And speaking of a situation, and we went fishing one day, I think it was out in the air. We were very young, my brother and I and my father. And I have a little bit of a story to share here about how quickly things can turn here. So my dad, not much of a swimmer. We're out there. We have a long fishing net to capture fish if we caught them, bring them in with a net. So a little bit of a funny story. I think there was 2 saving factors that were here, one being quick action And the other one is Pepsi shoes. I don't know. Do you remember Pepsi shoes back in the way back when?
Yes, I do.
So we're at this dam with my brother, and he's got his big Pepsi shoes on. They're like flotation devices. And he happens to fall in, like the water's deep and it's murky and it's swirling around. And my brother falls into the water with his Pepsi shoes on, and he doesn't know how to swim at this point. And my dad's really quick. So it was like, it was the coolest thing I have ever seen. My dad just grabs this long 8-foot pole net and reaches out to my brother and just reels him in as if nothing happened. But this is something that quick action, is to your benefit, because, like I said, the water is murky, it's swirling, and it's moving fast. My brother could have been a mile away in a few minutes, and if not for the Pepsi shoes,
If
it could
not
have went the
for
other way.
your father's, but if not for your father's quick thinking to use the open water version of here's my
Yeah,
extension pole, come on in, right? Extend something, whatever you can put out to the person without you going in that water because I mean, he can't swim. Your father going in that water would have guaranteed, like they would have both drowned. So he did the right thing. He's like, here's
yeah,
the, grab this, son, grab this, right? That's what you want to do.
yeah,
You want to throw something, even if you can't get near the person, even if you don't have a rope, if you throw something close enough to them that they can grab it and they'll be floating. So if you have noodles or whatever you happen to have, whip it out there. Just start whipping
yeah,
that stuff out there, get it close to them. And if they can get near it, they're going to see if they see something nearby that they can grab a hold of to bring themselves up. That's what you want to do. So water safety it can be taught to non-swimmers. So there's your dad, the non-swimmer that practiced water safety and got his son out of the water. Good for him. Good job,
I,
Dad.
absolutely. And I don't even remember catching many fish that day, but the lesson was learned.
You caught a brother.
Yes,
Your
that's
dad
right.
caught a son.
I was quite impressed with my dad, like how cool and calm he was. It was so nonchalant. It just came off with no panic. And then we just went on with our fishing as if, nothing happened. So yeah, very cool lesson that day. And obviously showing an example from both of us about how water safety is important. And of course, being the time of year that it is with our flooding and knowing what has transpired year after year with our water systems going through town here, the importance of it. And unfortunately, I do recall from last year, we've had some unfortunate situations in the area with some people who had run into problems on the river. So we don't want to see that this year, and obviously use caution and have a good, clear understanding that this is not what whitewater rafting that we're doing here. And certainly the dams are throughout through Cambridge and Kitchener and everything like that. And those are problematic as well, right? Plenty of signage, but you never know what you're going to run into. So I'm glad we've had this conversation today, and I hope everybody finds it helpful.
Water is not very negotiable. So it's very strong, it's very powerful, and we have to respect it. You have to be respectful of water. We need water to live, but water can also kill us. So what we want to do is early on, as early as possible. If you can learn to swim, that's ideal. But even if you don't want to learn, if you're scared of the water, if you just don't want to learn, that's okay. You can still learn safety. And that's really, I think, what our episode today is about practicing water safety and the things you can do. It doesn't take very long. Like we learned CPR in grade 4. I've had CPR since grade 4. It makes me feel good. I've never needed it. But having it and the fact that if I saw somebody not breathing or if they needed
Mhm.
CPR, I could give them CPR. When I was expecting, I remember my concern was I didn't know how to give a baby CPR. I remember thinking, what do you do with a baby? Like how do you give a baby CPR? And what do you do if a baby is choking? How do you give a baby the Heimlich maneuver? So those are my two big, oh, I need to upgrade this. I don't know what to do with a baby, like with a tiny, tiny child, if you were to have a problem. But when I was having my kids, that was like high on my list of things to do. It's like, what do I do with a infant if they are choking and they need the Heimlich maneuver? What do I do? So
Mm.
it's just two little things to learn then. So I learned both of those real quick. And I did use the baby choking. I've needed that twice in my life. So, and the one time at Boston Pizza, like I had, there was a baby choking and I had to give a baby the Heimlich maneuver. The one time it was my baby, so that's one thing, but I had to give
Oh my
somebody else's
goodness.
baby the Heimlich maneuver. And if you don't know, you don't have the tool. The tool is not like it's knowledge. It's the knowledge itself is a tool to be able to pull that out and say, I'm gonna, okay, no problem. I know what to do. I know what to
Yeah,
do right now in this moment, in this emergency. So sharpen up your tools.
absolutely. You and I were talking about other stories about fishing on the Grand River, the Speed River here, and you were relaying a story about your fishing experience. I wondered if you could share that with our audience today.
I was on the bridge, the Riverside Bridge on King Street. It used to have openings, and I was fishing off of that bridge. I could see the fish below, but there were pikes in that water, and I caught one. And the guys, they
I'm
were
pretty
saying,
I'm pretty sure you can put anything on your hook and you'll catch something in that river. But go
I
ahead,
hope there was
sorry.
something on that hook. But anyway, the pike, I wound up getting a pike, and you didn't like you could visually see them in the water. And when that happened, I remember thinking, oh my goodness. And the guys came over that were fishing. They had some pretty fancy equipment. And they came over and helped me bring this thing. So I really had no idea what to do. It's almost like, oh no, I got a fish and it's big. Like, no. So they came right over, like I was like, oh, they came over and they helped me and they brought this in. They actually did bring it in. And then they were weighing it and they were so happy with this fish and they put the fish back in and but it was pretty exciting for a kid. I was probably like 9 or 10 years old. So that was my pike experience. So people say there's only garbage fish and there's nothing exciting to catch there. But I've caught some exciting fish, like with very little equipment.
Yeah, I understand there's trout in there. There's pike. Obviously, a lot of bottom feeding fish. We certainly know there's plenty of carp in there. But yeah, I had the same experience. I caught myself a little pike in Preston at the park, just at the dam there, and I can't even remember how old I was. I don't even know if I was even 10 or anything, but I was lost interest in the fishing, and the water was shallow there, and just kind of noodling around. I might have had a lure or something on the end of it, and just kind of dangling my rod in the water, or my line in the water, and I caught myself a huge pike. I couldn't believe it. It was so exciting. Uh, I'm and it just reminds me of something too. I don't know. Do you remember the pocket fishermen? Do you know those little? They're like this big, and they had the little. It was almost like a carving knife kind of scenario with a pocket fisherman. If
It
it
was
was pot,
like a little miniature fishing rod.
yeah, you have to look this up. But this thing existed in the 70s or whatever it is. It was this tiny little thing. It was probably about this big. It had a handle on it. It kind of looked like a carving knife in it. You'd put the thing up, and it had the line come out of it, and yeah, pocket fisherman. It just came to mind for me, but it may have been that. But either way, I caught myself a fair sized pike. I was pretty excited about it, and yeah. So there you go. There's some exciting adventures and stories to share about fishing at the Grand and the Speed River. So I'm not sure
We we
what you want
both
to do
caught
here,
pike
Nate.
in that Speed River. We both caught pike there. So
Yeah,
there is good fishing. Well,
yeah. Well, I'm not eating it. I know that much.
it's
I
just
don't think I
sport, like
could.
you're catching and you're
Yeah,
catch and release, right? But you still
yeah.
need a fishing license. Okay, so
That's
my
right.
fishing license, just you do need a fishing license. My fishing license right now is expired, and my husband used to work evening shift when the children were smaller, and I had a fishing license, and I would take the kids fishing. At one point, it was like, oh yeah, we went fishing here. We went fishing here, and Sam's like looking at us like, you guys are going fishing? It's like, yeah, we go fishing. And it's like, Okay, well, the kids are kids, but like, you need a fishing license. I'm like, yeah, I got a fishing license, right? And it's like,
Nice. Well,
but my
somebody,
fishing license is expired now. Get a fishing
yeah,
license. It's fun. It doesn't matter if you catch and release, you still do need a fishing license.
there's so many things that have changed with fishing and regulations and all kinds of things to protect the species of fish, and that's a whole different show. I'm glad we went to fishing, but it's a little off topic, but it sure is fun. I
Still
don't know
water
if you,
safety. Even if you're
that's right.
fishing, you still need to practice water safety.
It's true.
Thank you for joining us for flooding and water safety. It is very important. Our flooding, so it's not going to get better because the GRCA and the conservation authorities have been gutted by legislation in Ontario. So they really don't have the power they used to have. So it's not going to get better. But I'm optimistic that we're going to make changes to take it back to be able to mitigate flooding, to be able to reduce the dangers, because that's what the conservation authorities do.
We want you to join us for our next podcast. It's going to be about gardening and growing your own food. We're going to have some very insightful information to pass along and get you excited about getting your garden growing. So join us on our next podcast. We thank you all for joining us today, and we will see you soon.
Nina and Mark Show. We will keep you in the know. Current events and special guests. Our podcast is the best. You don't want to miss the Nina and Mark Show.